Welcome to the SAFeTY Chronicles, exploring how to keep people and pets safe from the cycle of interpersonal violence. I am your host, Allie Phillips, founder and CEO of Sheltering Animals and Families Together, the SAFeTY Program, a nonprofit organization working with domestic violence shelters to eliminate the pet housing barrier to safety. As the founder, I have led the global movement in helping domestic violence shelters create on-site pet housing while elevating the criminal justice response to how animal abuse links to crimes against people. I am a former prosecuting attorney, internationally recognized legal expert and public speaker, award-winning author, and advocate for protecting vulnerable victims. In this podcast, we will explore how and why animals are harmed in the cycle of family violence and the human-animal bond that keeps victims in harm's way with their pets. Guest speakers and I will share strategies for shelters and professionals working to safeguard survivors, why pet-inclusive sheltering is life-saving, and safety tips for those who need help. None of the content will be graphic. If you are in harm's way, please contact your nearest domestic violence shelter or call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. Let's get started. Welcome back to the next episode of the SAFeTY Chronicles, and this one is time sensitive. So hopefully what I'm about to talk about is quickly resolved and does not go into effect. And hopefully if you are listening to this in 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, it is a non-issue. But this is very timely, and I am recording this January 29th of 2025. Because yesterday, on January 28th, President Trump paused federal funding effective 5 p.m. Eastern yesterday. And there was no end date on how long the pause was going to be. And it sent shockwaves through the funding community, which is a vast number of organizations serving hundreds of millions of Americans. The order came from Office of Management and Budget, leaving agencies, staff, and recipients wondering if they would be impacted. The order has been stayed by a federal district judge until the legalities are sorted out. But why I want to talk about this is because domestic violence shelters receive funding through the Violence Against Women's Act. So shelters would be impacted. Agency services would be impacted. And survivors will be impacted. I remember when I worked in the Washington, D.C. area, I worked for an organization that was entirely federally funded. So I felt strongly that I needed to address this topic head on because I know it is creating fear and uncertainty about the future, specifically for domestic violence shelters and social services. Now, I'm not going to get into the legalities of what happened. That's for the court system to do. Yes, I am an attorney. I'm a former prosecutor, but that's not what I want to talk about. I want to address this topic from the perspective of those shelters that are housing pets on site, because the quick reaction is going to be to hunker down on services and programs and try to cut costs anywhere possible. And I want to caution you from doing that in regard to pet housing. Okay. So if you are a shelter that already is pet inclusive, or if you have an offsite kind of foster care pet housing system, or maybe you're a shelter that isn't helping pets at all, I still really hope that you listen to this, because I want to caution you against pausing or eliminating any program that helps survivors with pets. And I want to give you 5 reasons why. All right. Let me take a sip of my coffee in my cat mug. Number 1, 2/3 of American homes have a pet. That is a number that right there should be telling all domestic violence shelters that you need to find a way to help survivors with pets. Because 2/3 of American homes with a pet can roughly be translated into 2/3 of domestic violence victims seeking shelter and support have pets. Are you going to be the shelter that turns away 2/3 of your clients who have pets and 2/3 of your clients who need your help? Of course not. You're in the industry to help. You are helpers, okay? So that's the number one reason not to pause or eliminate any pet housing program. Number two, housing pets on site can literally cost you no money. I talk about this in the Safety Startup Manual. If you don't have a copy, go to my website, SAFTprogram.org, request your copy if you're a domestic violence shelter, and you will be emailed it at no cost. Here's the thing. When family pets are in the room with their family, that doesn't cost you a penny. It's like going on vacation with your pet and finding a pet-friendly hotel or an Airbnb that accepts pets. That's what it's like. And that is what I really want you to stay focused on. If your snap reaction is that you cannot put pets in the room, I really want you to think that through. Because is that really true? Because for hundreds of shelters that I have worked with who thought that, the answer was, that's really not true. We can do this. Contact me. I will talk it through with you, and I will help you find a solution. Because unless you have multiple families or multiple survivors in the same room, pets can be in the room with their family, and you can set up guidelines. I have them in the Safety Startup Manual that pets are not to leave the room unless it's like a dog being escorted outside. Okay? So that's number two. It will cost you no money. No money. Okay? You can go to the alternative, and I go through all the housing options in the Safety Startup Manual, but one of the housing options is to create an indoor kennel, a room that you have that you can either toss out the junk or put it elsewhere, clean it out, and I will help you find crates and caging that is not going to be expensive or maybe free. Okay, so reach out. There's ways to do this. Number three, I have been advocating for almost 20 years for shelters to not rely primarily on grants for their pet sheltering programs. And I really hope you do not have to learn on how to rely without federal funding, but I think this is a wake-up call. I always advocate that when you engage your community in your life-saving work, and especially that you allow pets on site, you will receive their support. Maybe it's individual donations, it's the pet lovers in your community. People who have pets love to donate to really good life-saving pet causes. Okay, maybe they donate items to you, or you have community foundations and organizations that will support you. You know, have you talked to your Rotary Club, Kiwanis Club? Do you have a Zonta Club? They support the safety program. They support this concept. So all you have to do is go to them and ask for help. And as long as these donations are not restricted, you can utilize them for your overall shelter and agency programs. Pets bring in money. I have been literally screaming this from the rooftops for over 20 years. Pets bring in money. Please hear me on this. People in your community who love pets want to help, but do they even know that you exist? And do they know that you house pets? You need to let them know. And that gets me to number four. Be very public that you welcome pets on site. It's not sharing your address or even photos and names of pets, but it's sharing what you are doing to care for pets of clients. Did a cat come in needing a broken leg to be reset? And you were able to get that cat help because you have a veterinary partner. Did you need to pay for a few days of boarding for a dog until you found space in your shelter? Did you use money that was donated to create a playground for dogs so that they don't have to go off property? Share your stories on social media. Tell heartwarming stories about the pets in your care, and be vocal that you welcome survivors with pets. Okay? Reach out to me. I would love to interview you for this podcast, and let's spread the word. I'll help spread the word for you, but let people know and share the stories. And lastly, number five, we live in a society where women and the LGBTQ plus community are less safe. With a shift in our society in recent years and a shift in more violent rhetoric toward women, Black, Indigenous, people of color, LGBTQ plus individuals, this is not going away anytime soon. They need your help. They are out there. And there, 2/3 of them probably have pets, because that is the number of people with pets in the United States. Okay? They need your help. And if you are not able to welcome pets, if you are pausing or eliminating your pet housing program because of this fear that has been triggered, I am cautioning you to not do that, to keep this program open. This threat of pausing federal funding to critical agency services and infrastructures is a wake-up call for all shelters and all social service agencies that with a flick of a switch, your funding pipeline could be cut off. It's wrong. Don't even get me going on this. I am trying to be very neutral on this and very helpful. It is very important to diversify, and communities love supporting pet-inclusive domestic violence shelters. And I'm going to keep shouting that from the rooftops. So in this moment of fear, what I am recommending is that you not flip the switch off of your pet housing program. Because if you already have the program in place, or you already have the funds as you set up, that hard work is already done. That money is already in your hands and you're doing the work. And if you have already opened your doors to pets, sustaining is easy. Sustaining is easy. Okay? Please reach out if you have concerns. Please reach out to me if you need help brainstorming funding options. I love to do that. I come up with some of the craziest ideas. I'll help you set up a program or a fundraiser called Cocktails for Cats, okay? Or Donuts for Dogs. I will help you. I love doing this. Reach out. Okay, SAFeTY Program is free to you as a domestic violence shelter. And if you have any questions at all, reach out, okay? We're here. But I really implore you to not have that snap decision of eliminating programs, because this one truly saves lives, not just of your 2-legged clients, but your 4-legged clients. All right? Thank you very much. Take care, everybody. Be safe. If you are in harm's way and need help, please visit the Pet Inclusive Shelter listing at safetyprogram.org, call your nearest domestic violence shelter, or call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. Want to support our efforts and help us keep the SAFeTY Startup Manual free for domestic violence shelters? Consider donating at safetyprogram.org/donate. Your donation saves lives.